Hello, everyone. Welcome to this evening's seminar. If you've attended one of our seminars before, thank you for coming back. If this is your first seminar, just a couple housekeeping things. If you're interested in looking at any of the upcoming seminars that are going to be occurring over the next couple of weeks, you can visit our website at colinsvdc.com/cares seminars. And you can see all the lists of the upcoming seminar that's going to be taking place. You can also visit our YouTube channel to see a recording of this seminar as well as the previous ones that we've done. And then lastly, I recommend you go onto our website and apply for CARES, the CARES application, which will give you an opportunity to maybe get some customized counseling at no cost, some specialized training, and just some overall assistance on your business. Before I started talking, what I didn't do is introduce myself. My name is Michael McClinton. I'm one of the business advisors here with the Collin SBDC. So without further ado, let me turn it over to our speaker. Her name is Margot Kopman, and the show is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Margot Kopman. I am the president of Project Retail, which is a boutique consulting firm that helps independent retailers grow sales and profits. Today, we're going to be getting a little bit more abstract than the other two sessions that I was so grateful to be a part of and put together. And we're basically going to talk about how we can create more business sales using your customer data. And, you know, it's something that is often overlooked when wanting to increase traffic and drive sales. So I think it's really important and it's pretty simple. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Okay, so how many of you, and obviously I can't see anyone and you can't raise your hand. Oh, well, maybe you can on the little button, but how many of you have, or how many times have you heard yourself say this? If only I had more traffic. I mention this because I'm here today to really challenge you to focus on the things that you can control in your business, which are simple yet complicated because they're big pieces of the business, which are inventory and your people, your inventory and your people. And so empowering your people to be successful while contributing to your success is a recipe for great things once you set up the processes in place to push them to drive sales. And I mean that in a non-pushy way, of course. You know, nowhere in this seminar, this webinar today, you know, do I want y'all to think that, you know, this is about just being sales hounds. But it's really truly about the processes that we can put in place and tools that we can put in their toolbox to drive additional business and traffic to your stores. So there are three types of people in this world, and understanding what motivates them helps you develop processes in your business that can provide those tools that will affect positive change for you and additional sales, right? And, you know, it was really interesting because this whole sort of outline of who are these three people came in a conversation that was very much like this, where it was, how do we build sales, right, with the team that we have in place? And the team can be, you know, 1 or 2 people, can be, you know, 10 people. But really understanding what motivates your team as individuals, right, is important. So the 3 types of people are basically this: fame, people that actually want to be seen and heard and in the forefront. You know, think bloggers, think celebrities, think those types of people, right? The second is people who are looking for a positive change in the world, to do something, you know, positive and to help change the world. They want to make a difference. And then the third, which could be argued, that all types of people are motivated by money. But some people really, that's truly what drives them, right? Money, money, money. So what I've learned over the years is that all types of people can be coached and empowered to sell once you understand what's actually motivating them. I often suggest that people have their employees take a simple personality test, like you can get them online. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay a little. And basically, what that does is to help you identify what their strengths and weaknesses are, and if they're really truly on the right seat on the bus or in the right seat on the bus, in your store, because that will help you understand if you're able to develop these processes and procedures and give them tools, and if that's going to motivate them. Sometimes it might not, right? So developing the selling process, once you understand who you've got working for you as a team, is pretty simple. So we want to set individual sales goals to help them achieve their goals while trying to reach yours. So I'm sure many of you say, set monthly sales goals for yourself and all of that, 100% needing to share the total sales goal with the team. But what we don't want to do is necessarily create a competitive environment, um, which I get pushback often. It's like, well, if we set individual sales goals, what happens? If we have four people and they often work as a team. So, what we kind of want to think about is justifying their payroll, right? So, payroll should be a specific percentage of your sales annually. And even if it's minimal, we sort of want them to carry their weight in their payroll, right? So, a rule of thumb here is that they should be selling weekly, monthly, annually. Doesn't matter necessarily how you break it down, although I think, weekly or monthly is easier, at a 10% commission rate, 7 to 10% commission rate to justify their hourly or their salary. So, for example, if we just use the 10%, if you're paying someone $20 an hour and they work for 40 hours a week, that's $800 a week. So, you would like for them to sell $8,000 a week to justify their payroll. Now, this can sometimes get a little tricky depending on if they're helping you with some back of the house stuff or marketing or something like that. So you can always take the hourly and base that off of hours on the floor, right? On the actual sales floor. So then once you set the individual sales goals, whatever they sell in addition to that, you could offer some sort of bonus or a commission or some sort of incentive to get them to, push themselves higher, right? But again, if you don't really understand what motivates them first, it's going to be hard to help push them, okay? And really also understanding again who they are and then what their selling sort of power or style is. The ultimate goal is to then provide the tools that will help them achieve these personal goals. And I'm going to kind of side note digress for a minute. So when I say personal goals in relationship to, your team, really it all comes down to how much do they want to make, right? So obviously if someone's working for you and it's a hobby or, they want to get out of the house, which 100% happens, we still again want to find out what could possibly motivate them. I crazy things start going through my head, like, okay, well, their bonus could be a donation to a charity or something like that. So I won't digress. But what was interesting was when we were in this meeting talking about the three types of people and how do we give raises, in a year like COVID, right? And everybody's been sort of scrambling for business. How do we stay afloat? How do we build on, what we've already built when we've had a few steps back? And something that was really powerful was really flipping it on your team members and asking them, obviously individually, How much money do you actually want to make this year? Because why this was powerful was, again, most people want raises, after a yearly review or a quarterly review or however y'all do that. But really, you can actually empower them to make more money if you know what they're trying to achieve. Okay. So if you have employees that are not passionate about what they're doing, this will be challenging. If they're just coming to work to be a warm body in the store, it's challenging. But if they love their job and you can really hone in on their skill set and what drives them and what gets them excited, really actually showing them that they could make more money by setting these individual goals and then watching them exceed it and calculating that out, the sky is really the limit. So I'll start on the customer stuff with really that 80-20 rule, which, kind of haunts us a little. 20% of our sales are generated from our top customers, right? 20% of our customers, right, it seems pretty small when you're looking at 100%. So really, if 20% of your sales are only generated from the top 20% of your customers, how do we engage and grow and coddle the other 80%? So look at it this way and think about it. 80%, the 80% is what pays the bills, right? Keeps the business alive. Look at it that way. And the 20% is actually the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. Okay. So how do we get your team to sell more, create more relationships, and build up those 80% so they will actually sell more, right? Or spend more, I'm sorry. So let's kind of get into how I think we can do that. It's all about the relationships. Creating the customer relationship, developing the customer relationship. They come to you into your store, for the relationship and how it makes them feel, right? Walking into a PetSmart is much different than walking into a mom and pop independent, pet store. They know the names of your dogs, whereas, you're just one of thousands in a PetSmart. So what I like to start with is just essentially the basic customer profile, right? So name, email, but add on to that, what's their birthday? How many kids do they have? What are their hobbies? What vendors do they love that they buy from you? What vendors do they love that they don't buy from you because we don't have them? Develop a little sort of profile and process that helps your team keep track of the important information. Okay. Now, this can be done in a POS system or an inventory management system because, it's all tied back to obviously what you're selling. If you don't have one, you can absolutely create a manual customer profile sheet and keep it in a binder, alphabetized. It's a little bit more work, but to be honest, both are work. That way, then when you develop the next thing, which is the outreach process, right? You can actually go back to the customers that fit the profiles with the outreach that you're looking to do and hopefully get somewhere, right? More people, more traffic in the door. And then the key thing is the follow-up process. So what's working, right? With our maintaining a customer profile and doing customer outreach, are we not only following up with the customers, but are we following up on our employees to see what actually worked and where did we get some conversion? I love in the outreach process, and I know not a lot of people do, but personal phone calls or personal emails, that 20% is really super easy to keep the relationship going because you've already developed that relationship. So another really good trick of the trade is to really look at the top 20% of your customers. And for the ones that aren't family members or, people you've known a long time or what have you, for the ones that are newer, right? Really kind of look into their profile. What do we think we did to convert them into one of our top 20% of our customers? But the follow up is really super important, not only on the customer side but also with your team and your people, to keep them propped up. Yay, that was so great, you called 5 people today, that's amazing. And then what happened, right? So on a more global level, when you're looking at just your total company branding and marketing and customer outreach messaging, what's selling now, what's new in store, who's been shopping, what needs a markdown and promotion, and everything that you put out there on Facebook, emails, Instagram, and all of those things. When you look at what you're actually messaging and talking to your customers, even though it's very global, what you're talking to them about, and you're measuring the successes, that can also help you reinforce the individual customer relationship and outreach efforts, right? So for example, if you posted something today that only got 10 likes or something, and that is well below the average for you, and perhaps it was a new vendor, new product that we just got in, and you're super excited about it, but it didn't really get any action, that might not be something that necessarily would drive business into the store. So maybe we need to look at another vendor that we have that is similar, or is something that's coming, and that's where we focus and really hone in on this specific individual customer outreach. As far as global, and I'm not a marketing person, so I'm here really to help you guys understand the tools that are in the customer profile, and all the information there. But I'll always be taught, it's simple, it's really the same things that you talk to on the individual customer level. It's your hot items, what's selling, new arrivals, talk about them going fast. And then on the promotional side, and we'll get to like a really cool part of this, on the promotional and markdown side, there's a very specific niche that you might not know about in your business, that are sale customers. I don't want to say diamonds in the rough, because a lot of retailers that I work with, they're like, they're they're exhausting, and they don't buy at full price, but they're still valuable, right? All customers are valuable. So let's move on to using what's at your fingertips. Okay, so going back to creating the tools that will empower your team, and to help them focus, right, on what they can control. Because I've been a retailer before, which is how I got into the whole coaching consulting thing. And I know, I mean, the four walls can cave in on you, and you're tired and you're beat down, and you only saw 2 people in a day, right? Well, unfortunately, we can't control the traffic, but we can control our people to help drive traffic. So the goal is to basically train them on how to use the information. So since you've created your customer profile and you're tracking the sales and what's new in your store, you can start to use this, right, to create some real customer relationships with that 80%, right? We want to convert that 80%. So look at your vendors, look at last purchase date, the customer's last purchase date. Some customers could come in a couple times a week, or a couple times a month, but their last purchase date might have been 6 months ago. So those are types of things that you always want to be mindful of. Who's your sale customer? And then, of course, who's your top spender? Because these people should always get a little something extra, right? So I don't know if any of you have any sort of loyalty programs or anything like that, which is also a really great way to engage with people. But I think noting and really reinforcing that you're paying attention to those top spenders is actually pretty powerful, because word of mouth, right? They talk. Oh my gosh, Betty from, the florist down the street, she was so sweet. She gave me an extra bouquet of tulips today because she knew it was my mother's birthday, right? Stuff like that. Like really, really, really being mindful, right? Of who they are, the top spenders. So last but not least, and really this is the point of conversation. The list of favorite reports that I like to run by customer, right, is the vendor, of course. So whenever a new shipment arrives from a vendor, pull a list of all the customers that have bought that vendor from you. Also pull a list of customers that might have bought from a vendor that is similar. Make the list bigger, right? Conversion rates, trying to get anywhere between 5 and 20%, right? On the personal phone calls and the personal emails. The 20% is very ambitious. But as you develop the process and really coach your team, right, you can get there. If it's a new vendor, that's also a global thing. You talk about on your social media and things like that. But again, it goes back to, if a customer buys something that's similar, right? There's power in those shipments, that new merchandise that's coming into your store on a regular basis. There's tremendous power in it. And birthdays, I think, are wonderful. Send a personal note. You could almost even send, e-flowers or something like that, even if it isn't a birthday club, if you're not doing a birthday club or anything like that. A lot, those have kind of, actually, I haven't seen them in a while. But even if it's not your best customer, remember the 80%, we're looking to actually have a reason to reach out to them. So imagine if you went into a store where you really haven't spent a lot of money, but you kind of love it, if you got a note from someone that said happy birthday, right? You can also set a minimum spend per year for customers that could receive a small gift. The last purchase date, these last two, or not last two, the next two list of favorites really are powerful. So this last purchase date, you really want to not let them go, the customer basically go MIA. And so after about a 90-day period of time, right? Because we're in retail, it's pretty fast moving. There's information and photos and all kinds of stuff all day long on all kinds of social media channels, especially now that we're kind of stuck at home a little. But you constantly want to be running lists of customers that have not been in the store in 90 days or more. And when I say in the store, obviously, this is what they've purchased. If you make a note on the customer profile that they've been in the last 90 days and they haven't bought anything, that's also some really great information for you to have. I always like to say, don't ever listen. Like when customers say out loud, oh, do you have this in pink instead of the color that you have it in? Often what they say out loud is their way of telling you they didn't find anything to buy today, right? So if they didn't find anything to buy, they came in for a reason, right? Even though they might not have known that the reason was that they wanted to buy something, but the majority of people that walk into a store are absolutely looking to buy something or available to buy something. So if they have not and they've been in, that again, that is definitely something to note. But nudging these customers, we haven't seen you in a while. Here's a $10 gift card for your next visit, or 25% off a full price item. I think setting parameters, right, of average spends and things like that for people is important. If you look at what your median, right, average spend is from all your customers, and then sort of break it up into the top spenders, middle spenders, and then the lower spenders. We're looking for that middle ground. Start there, right? The B's. Look for the B's. And then that actually leads us to the sale customer, which it's extremely important to do a different set of outreach, even though your messaging might be the exact same. So, for example, and I know all of you have probably been inundated with sale messaging, right? All month long, all January. It's a big sale month. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, when's it going to end? Now some of you might actually really appreciate it because you're more of a sale shopper. So think about it. If you're having a sale and you don't want to inundate your customers with emails every day reminding them we're having the sale, we're having the sale, we're having the sale, take your sale customers out. You can actually run reports if you have an inventory management and point of sale system that can tell you who your sale customer is, so then you can separate them and do additional outreach to them. That has been extremely powerful in January of this year, because I think one thing that we need to remember is that the majority, or we hope, but the majority of our customers actually buy more at full price, or maybe even small discounts, right? But not true sale, true, we need to get this out of here. And so the messaging, even during sale time, needs to be more, your global messaging needs to be more consistent with new arrivals, and this is what's going on, and all of that type of stuff. Um, and then with the top spenders, I really feel like creating some sort of loyalty program or some way to give back to them to say thank you. Uh, and having that start to trickle down with some of those top tiered B customers, because then we can hopefully convert them into A's. So I had a client once that this was a really cute idea, where every week they sent out, I think it was between 10 and 15, 10 to 15 little tiny small $5 or under little gifts to people's, their customers' homes. And it was kitschy things. It had absolutely nothing to do with the store. It was like a soccer ball keychain if their son was in a soccer tournament, because the last time they were talking about how excited that they were for the soccer tournament. Or a little tiny scarf, or even now actually a mask, in their favorite color, if their favorite color is pink or something. So there's all kinds of different ways to actually create a loyalty program and say thank you without trying to make it seem like it's all about us, right? Does that make sense? Because it's sometimes, feels really salesy. And I think that that actually goes back to, when you're trying to coach the team, is you're not looking for anyone to be inauthentic. You're not looking for anyone to, what's the word? You don't want them to be pushy, overtly, salesy. Now some of you might have organizations where that works. By all means, run with it, because you could have some great successes with a process for a really, really, really strong selling process. But the most important thing to always just remember is that more traffic doesn't always necessarily mean more sales. So when you're targeting your customers and the people, your team that are actually doing the outreach, and you understand what motivates them, and you can target them in a way that is really actually quite authentic and doesn't feel like all of those things that you feel sit too salesy, too much sale messaging, to this, to that. I've said this in my last two uh, webinars, that knowledge is power, information and data, and all of that is power. And so don't give up. um, I've had clients that have been in high traffic areas where their conversion rates are really low. So they could have 200 people walk in the store and, only sell to 10 of them. And so I often say, when people say, first, I wish I had more traffic, be careful what you wish for, because it's actually much harder to buy merchandise when you have high conversion rates with high traffic areas, because not everyone who walks in your door is your customer. So it makes it actually a little bit harder, unless everything is always pushed out on a markdown. But I think, keep it simple. Start with that customer profile. Think about you as a customer and what you would appreciate. And then start to build reports that are essentially the tools that you can pass on to your team, that will hold them accountable, and give them the power to make more money if that's the route that you decide to go, with a bonus or a commission or something like that. So listen, the sky is the limit. If you have customers, there's more business to be done. I promise. Okay, Michael, open it up for questions.
Thank you, Margot. So anyone, if you have questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box now, and I will pose that question to Margot. All right, so one question is, you talked about someone who hasn't visited the store in a while and trying to kind of nudge them.
Mhm.
Are you nudging them with some kind of discount or promotion, or is it just a kind of a message just to get their attention?
I think that depends on where you are with your business and if you need a bigger nudge. Markdowns or discounts always, get people's attention. I believe that if you strategically give them a small nudge, right? Even though in our minds, oh, $10 off isn't much, type of thing. Well, think about it, it's still $10. Or even if it's a percentage off one full price item, I wholeheartedly support that. Some people like to break up the list, because if this is something you're just now doing, so you could have customers that haven't been in at all in 2020, which makes sense, right? So if they haven't been shopping online with you, you could give a different nudge to the ones that are super old, and then maybe give the discounts to the ones that have been in the last 6 months. So you can really, I like to look into the list. Since we're independent retailers, a lot of times we know some of them a little, or, oh, right, I remember them. So I think a small little nudge, $10 or 20% off, is always a nice little thing to get in the mail. And give it an expiration date. Okay, this is not for until 2035. This is come in, within, valid. If you send something out today, say it's valid through March 15th. Give them some sort of nudge. And then that way, actually, you also, if it was a March 15th, you could then send it again. I know that sounds like pushy, but you could send it again.
All right, so next question. Uh, Either with your personal business or other businesses that you work with, have you seen any success with first look or exclusive access type marketing to clients?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love it. And you may have already done this or are thinking about this. A VIP night is awesome for when you're about to, start your end of season sale or any type of promotion. So you can get your A's, right? Your top 20s, and then, your top B's or top 20% and then your top Bs, you could actually, blast that out and say, hey, you want to get in, on, the hottest sale of the season. We're doing a VIP night. The first look is amazing. If you're rolling something new out, I think that actually creates something very, very special. So, the messaging, like, won't be out on the sales floor, come in tomorrow type of thing. Yeah, I love it. I love it, love it. And it is, I often also want you guys to know, like, and this is another thing that's frustrating sometimes, and I understand this, is that, you feel like you've done something and then you didn't get back from it what you wanted, what you like had as an expectation. And remember, that doesn't mean that it was bad. It just means that it needs to be tweaked a little. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. I mean, I know you all have been there. I know it. So, but keep moving forward. I get a lot of that. I get a lot. Well, I've done that before. It's not going to work. Okay. Okay.
All right. Now, this question is more so it says, given COVID and things that are going on, we're not getting much traffic. So we've reverted to more online ads and marketing. Do you have any strategies on kind of what I should be promoting or how to go about it? Is it Facebook or is it more like web ads?
I that is not necessarily my forte. I think that regardless of what you're doing, you need to measure it. So, you want to, if you're spending $500, a month on Facebook ads, right? You don't want that $500 to exceed 25% of the total revenue that you got in from that Facebook ad. Okay. So you need to measure what you've been doing lately, and then sort of decide what's been working and what isn't. I will say, just on the touchy feely global like selling level, that most people have really been successful on is, the curbside pickup, the dropping off of the merchandise, call us, we can do a Zoom, little session, and, I'll drop it off and no contact. You can let me know when you're ready for me to pick it up and I'll charge your card for the rest type of thing. Um, that has actually been quite successful, and that doesn't cost you anything. It's really just the outreach to your clients, right? Instead of an ad. So definitely measure those ads. And if you need suggestions on marketing companies and things like that, my email is in the little packet you got. Send me an email because I can send over a few resources that I have that I know um, people really enjoy working with.
All right. And then it looks like one last question in regards to kind of the outreach and staying in touch with clients. How do you know when it's too much?
I always like to say that, like, that they're basically going to tell you, and whether or not they tell you verbally is one thing, because they will, if they're the type of person who's verbal and will, express their feelings, that is amazing. Um, but they'll let you know by just going silent, which obviously we don't want. So I think it all really goes back to, who how do you how do you relate to the customers, and really trying to understand what their threshold is. If they love you and they love shopping with you and they love what you have and what you've built, right, then they want to hear from you. And so that's why I like to, like, throw in the little tiny, maneuvers of, this has nothing to do with my store, this is, is your mom feeling better? So, tread lightly, because some people are more sensitive to others, but there is verbal and there is nonverbal. And, a lot of people always say, well, I don't want to, reach out to them too much. Well, they gave you their information for a reason. So the second they don't want to hear from you again, they'll let you know in some way, shape, or form. I believe that. I mean, some people, that 80-20 rule again, guys.
Thank you so much, Margaret. It doesn't look like there are any other questions. So with that being the case, I will conclude this seminar. Again, the replay of this seminar will be on the YouTube channel in a couple days. And then you can go to our YouTube channel to check out some of the other sessions that have already taken place. Have a great evening.
Thanks, y'all.